if you've seen my previous video, you probably know what this is about. I kind of take the last video and pass it a few more things and kind of take things to the next level with Refutation. And yeah, so this skill is absolutely broken. It kind of fixed defense on any sort of squishy build, like forget about dying. You still need to play the game, but there's a few things that you can actually take this to the extreme level. Take this setup into any squishy mapper and it will improve your defense massively. You know, somewhat this kind of remind me of Green Feast from 0.1, except that now you can use it on any archetypes. Yeah, this gem is absolutely bonkers. So let's talk about how this gem is intended to be used by GGG. Let me just explain the basic of the setup. So first of all, you need Runic Word on your gear. This is a new skill that was added this patch. It is a Runic skill, so it costs word, which means that if you don't have any word, you cannot use the skill. To get word on your gear, you need to use the Verisium Anvil to runeforge your gear. So any gear would do. You just need to put this gear in and then runeforge it, and it will gain Runic Word. So that's how you get Runic Word. Use it on any piece of gear. Like, you don't even need that many, right? You can have 10 word and you would still be able to use it, I guess. More than 13, but yeah, like 20 word, you will still be able to use the skill. And what it does is that this skill will automatically block all directions and inflict debuff to the block enemy, and has a buff duration. So we use prolonged duration and cooldown recovery in here to try to sustain it permanently, right? So it lasts about 7 seconds for me, and it is roughly 8-second cooldown, so it's 7.69. So I can almost constantly applying it. So as long as you have the setups and you can constantly apply it, you can constantly use it in map, and that means you can constantly block everything. And that is the very basic. To use this properly, you also need to do a few things. First of all, another thing is Refutation also need to be level 20 to have the 10-second cooldown. So lower level also have higher cooldowns. And you also want to quality this up to 20%, otherwise you're gonna get stunned quite easily. And there are many places to get stun threshold on your passive skill tree. Just to name a few things, like for example, over here we have stun threshold plus strength. And yeah, there are like a bunch of them, but if you're on the right side of the tree like me, I get pretty easy stun threshold from here. And that is pretty much all I need to make this work. If I know this before, that there's a skill like this in the campaign, I would also take stun threshold from the Venom Crypt as well, just to keep that in mind. But yeah, some stun threshold, and then use a skill with these support gems. And you also actually need some cooldown recovery as well. So I path over here. So there are many places where you can get like cooldown recovery on the tree. Like there are like a bunch up here. Yeah, so increased skill effect duration work, cooldown recovery work, and if you're on this part of the tree, we have skill effect duration and buff on you expire 10% slower, which is great. And that's all I need to have this buff permanently up. And as long as you have this permanently up, you can use the skill. Next up, I want to talk on how to actually scale this to a comfy level of mapping, right? So if you are just running this basic setup, you can still get knocked out quite easily during map. Even if you tech, stun threshold, because once again, if you read the skill carefully, it does say that we get 5% more stun threshold per 10 runic word spent. And whenever you tap the skill, it's gonna spend all the runic word. So I tap it, it spent all 145 runic word, which means that I will get, like 50%, 50% more stun threshold. And what happened when you want to scale this up, because you really want to scale this up, because you gotta get hit in maps, and it's like not really that fun to dodge roll all the time. So the way you scale this up is you use a body armor, or you get more runic word on your gear. And the best way to do it is the Brass Dome Runeforge. This is like absolutely crazy amount of runic word. You actually don't need that much, I think. But yeah, if I, for example, let me just show you real quick. I already have this on, but I reflex, so we never dodge. Beside like getting hits, right? Reputation, if you evade the hits, then you don't spend your block and you don't get stunned. But so I put this on just to showcase how it's right now, how it is right now, how easy it is to actually get stunned when you have this on. So let me just have a few of these enemy hit me. And you see I'm blocking, but I get stunned easily. Like, that was pretty fast. Like, I'm gonna get knocked down, right? In map when enemies hit harder, like a T15 map, I'm gonna get knocked down, right? So, obviously, this is, like, not compy, and you still have to dodge a lot of stuff. So, the way we scale this is, like I said, we are using a few things. You can scale this with a few things, but the most efficient one is the Brass Dome, so I just need to put this on. And now suddenly I'm gonna have 1400 wards, which means that we'll get however many more stun threshold. I'm sure there's like a diminishing return, so you probably don't need that many. But this is one of the easy way to do it. And you also get more stun threshold from having more life, so it's based on your maximum life. So you can use this together with Veil of the Knights, for example, because this is also a great helmet, with only one downside is that it's gonna not really protecting you from dot damage, but with this particular setup, right, you don't care about the minus all maximum elemental resistance, and you will be extremely resistant to stun. So once again, we'll go in here, and you cannot briefly see it in the beginning, but I just press this, and you can see like we really do not build up stun threshold at all, which is great, right? And then now we press it again, and yeah, this is a lot better than before. Alright, so let's quickly talk about what is my opinion on the optimal way to use it. Well, like I said, a budget setup would require literally nothing, just Refutation and any amount of runic ward. But to run this optimally and to use it in maps, to actually feel confident during map, highly recommend you to pick up Brass Dome. And it's really because we have that much runic ward, so it converts into tons more stun threshold. And this armor also have like the highest stun threshold out of all the unique armor, which again get multiplied by the amount of runic ward. And you don't even need that many because you actually don't have enough to regenerate fast enough. So like this is a basic setup, right? You put this on and you can see it takes quite a while to go back up to 1k. So 1k is like overkill. You can literally just get any sort of any roll of Brass Dome, and that would work even if it doesn't have like high amount of maximum loading word, because yeah, it roll for even if it's roll like minimum, like you would, yeah. So for example, I have Reputation, and you can see it's like we have 7 seconds to recover, so it would turn out to be around 500. So like that would be the next time you press. So realistically speaking, it's about 500. But then again, this body armor is great. You take no damage from extra crits, but also have tons of stun threshold. So using this body armor is extremely comfy during map. Now, I said there is another setup that you can run. For example, the Brass Dome has a line that say minus all maximum elemental resistance. Now, if you run like a normal setup with capping resistance, right, then ideally you would run this with -1, which can be expensive. But if you are running in combination Brass Dome with this Veil of the Knight, then you have no elemental resistance anyway, so you can just realistically just go for like any roll of this. And like I said, any roll of this would work, and you can go for a high roll of stun threshold. But then again, yeah, it's at that point it is whatever. And so that is pretty much the setups that I'm running map. So I just run any setups that I want. Let me see here. This one, yeah. So you would want to run runic word regeneration rate. There is actually really expensive rune that have runic word. Okay, so emergent possibility. This one give 50% increase the runic word regeneration rate while sprinting, which but it is really expensive. So I mean, like, feel like yeah, I guess it's too expensive. So A map setup would look like this. You can run this with any, like all your other gear. It can be whatever role that you want. Mainly, you are looking for capping your resistance and get whatever stats that you want. I feel like you don't even need capping rest. Capping rest is great for ground dots. So I would say capping rest, at least fire rest would be important, and some chaos, but then cold and lightning, because we block almost all the hits, so you don't even have to cap that. So it leaves you open with a lot of possibility. Now, beside the, you know, the actual usage in map is just for you to press this and block. There might be some other use case, right? Which I have like 3 shields that basically deal with block and parry here. But yeah, I don't think these two are actually practical. It's not really going to be worth it because you have to keep parrying or block, right? But this one is what I kind of used on the AFK Ritualist a few leaks ago. But this one inflict corrupted blood for 5 seconds of block, which if you use it in map, right, you're gonna get hits, and yeah, it could be really interesting if you're running, for example, these setups, just running like high amount of life, and you would inflict corrupted blood, so it could be like an auto bomber setup. But then again, you still need to press this, and I don't know if it's gonna be like that great. Delirium also changed this league, so yeah, Bloodbearer is probably no longer, like, the setup is no longer profitable like before, where you can't just go into a simulacrum. Oh yeah, and I want to also talk about something funny, right? You see this Refutation? This is where you just kind of press, and it block all damage. But then GGG also go ahead and made a spell called Runic Reprieve, which is like extremely weird because you have to first of all like channel it, and yeah, you go down in ward and you block hits, but then you also take damage. So why would they make this when you could just like press one button and just block everything? Anyway, that is pretty much it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you will be able to use this tech in your setup, and good luck, and I'll see you in the next one.